Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Realm. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. Today I have with us, she's an author, and she has her debut collection of short stories that's out right now. And you can find it on Amazon as well as Barnes& and Noble, Walmart, and a lot of other places. And it's called The Licking. I have with us today JV Sadler. JV, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure. So tell us a little bit about The Licking.
So, Licking is a collection of horror short stories. They are surreal, macabre, they're weird. And actually, a lot of the stories came from my dreams and nightmares. So I wrote them down, and what culminated was a awesome collection of short stories.
That's amazing. Now, and this is your debut. Now, when you saying that these came from your dreams, I don't remember majority of my dreams. So I mean, you must have some you must have a good a memory of some amazing dreams.
Yes, I'm a vivid dreamer. I'm a lucid dreamer, so that means I can change and shape my dreams. Vivid, I can smell, taste, hear, touch in my dreams. And I frequently remember most of my dreams, and I've also written them down, of course, with licking. I've written those down and made them short stories.
Now, when it comes to actually writing, so this is your first time, this is your debut. Now, how long
Mhm.
did it take you to get these collection of short stories together to compile them into one book?
About a year. So I was doing NaNoWriMo, which is a national November writing month,
Hmm.
and I wrote a majority of the book then. So I got about 10,000 words, and then I wrote the rest of it after the NaNoWriMo.
Okay. Now, are you self-publishing, or did you decide to actually get a publishing agency to work with you?
I am self-published.
Hey, now every now a lot of, which is amazing. A lot of new, especially horror indie authors, are going the self-publishing route. What are some struggles or challenges that you've ran into?
Yeah, I would say marketing is difficult because you have to do everything yourself, all the publicity. People don't know who you are, they don't know your name, and it's like trying to break through that wall is hard. And being taken seriously as an author, people look at the top five big publishers and say, that's the creme de la creme, but you're actually missing out on a whole uh, plethora of literary genius with self-publishers.
And I 100% agree. I mean, it's definitely tough. I mean, and that's one of the struggles that I can imagine. I mean, as an indie filmmaker, indie anything, it is tough to get your name out there. That's why, I've actually started doing this channel. Now, as a African American woman, you're 23 years old. I mean, you're young. You're already getting
Mhm.
your first debut book out there. How exciting was it to see? I mean, it published it on Amazon. How exciting was that for you?
It was a dream come true. I told my mom, and she's like, "Oh, I knew this day would come. I knew you would write a book." And I'm like, "Wow!" So everybody knew that I would write a book except for me. So it was awesome. And when I held my book in my hands, I did an unboxing video for social media, and it was like awe-inspiring.
It's amazing. Now, are these African American stories in?
Oh, no, not particularly,
Okay,
which I want to change that for my other upcoming books that I have planned.
okay. Now, is it? I mean, is it hard as a African American author to? Because I mean, because is it hard to not be labeled? Oh, she is a African American author. She's an African
Mhm.
American writer. Is it hard not to get titled?
Yes, I say it's hard, but I just write what I write, and I let the writing speak for itself. I don't want to trap myself in a box. I think that's why, writing down my dreams, I say this came from literally a piece of me. It's literally part of my subconscious mind or unconscious mind, whatever you want to label it. And, I thought it was, disrespectful not to do anything with those amazing dreams and sometimes terrifying dreams that I
Yes.
had. Um, so yeah, I wrote them down and I didn't want to limit myself.
Now, why the title The Licking or Licking?
So licking, it's kind of like the word moist, where it's like ooh, kind of
Yeah, it's
like
like,
ooh, fancy, a little bit erotic as well.
hmm
It's personal. It's in your face. It's honestly a word that came into my mind like I have to title this licking. It's if you read the end poem, because there's poems in there as well. If you read the end story and the end poem, you'll get why licking is fitting for this book.
And the cover is absolutely amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to show it real quick, I mean, I mean, they're going at it. Now, who did the artwork?
So actually, a friend from college, Letitia Wade, she is an amazing illustrator and amazing artist. She does self portraits as well, portraits of other people, and I had to reach out to her and say, look, I want to support, fellow Black artists, Black art. We went to school together in college, and she did her thing with this cover.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it. Listen, it is absolutely like, wow, what is this? Now, have you always been a horror fan?
I've always been a fan of horror movies. Now, horror
Okay.
books, I'm new to the genre, but horror movies has always been my thing.
What are some horror movies that you grew up loving?
The first Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
The original, yes, that was the
the
first horror movie I saw.
original,
Yes, that's the first one
yes.
I saw. I was 5 years old. Yeah, when I first saw that.
And that ending really sparked something inside me when Leatherface is there in the middle of the road in the sun, like wielding his chainsaw,
Yes,
going wild. I'm like, that is the emotion I want to evoke.
and that one thing that's incredible about that movie is that it does not have a lot of gore and it does have a lot of blood. It leaves a lot to imagination, which is I think is why it's so damn good.
Yes, and it's I think it's more terrifying that way.
hmm
Just showing all the blood and gore. What you're doing is, you're letting your mind run with all the possibilities. When she gets hung on the hook, you don't see the hook going through and tearing a blood
No, you
draining.
don't.
It's like you're thinking about how does that feel? What's the emotions going through her mind? Like what's happening?
Now, what was the first horror movie that scared the shit out of you as a kid?
I would say Saw, the first Saw. I was terrified of Billy the Doll, and I decided to go on a Saw marathon to try to get over my fears,
hmm
and it actually made it worse.
did you did you watch the new one, Saw X?
Yeah, I've seen like different clips of it. I haven't seen it in its entirety, but
It's
I
good.
I think okay, it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's probably the second best Saw because I'm not a huge Saw fan. Um, I love the first two, but Saw X definitely Saw X definitely was up there. Probably the second best one in the series.
Yeah, and I was actually inspired by the ending of the first song. If you read one of my stories, Trapped Chain, it gives that Saw-esque feel.
That's amazing. Like for me, it was Candyman, and the original Candyman scared the shit out of me was because at the time I was a kid, and like I tell the story a lot that the story about the little black boy in the bathroom, and then Candyman did what he did to the. I was like, it scared me from using the bathroom for a while as a kid. I was like, I don't like Candyman coming in here. So like, Candyman was like the first one because not was the first one because it was that he was attacking. It was a black killer attacking black people, and like I don't know, it just originated with me like, oh, that could be me.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to writing, so you did a lot of short stories. Now, when it comes to for writing, do you have any rituals? Do you have a special place that you like to sit? Do you like to start from beginning to end, or do you like to go backwards? Do you got to put a certain type of music on? Tell me what some of your rituals when it comes to writing.
Yeah, in terms of like where I write a little bit of anywhere, but mostly in my room, on my bed. I like to be comfortable when I write. Um, I start from the beginning. I feel like I have to go chronologically because my mind can't handle all the skips, and I feel like I'll end up missing something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's why I love short stories because I can focus on one thing without having to focus on, 200, 300, 500 pages of information. And I'm a pantser, so I write on the seat of my pants. I don't typically write with an outline. I just go with the flow.
Now, when it came to this one, when it came to your first short story, you're putting that in a short stories. Was there a dream that you were like, you know what, I'm going to add this one into the book, and then for whatever reason you're like, nah, I don't think the world's ready for this one yet.
So there was a story that I almost didn't put in there, but I actually did, and I'm kind of scared to share it, but I am challenging myself. It's called The Baboon, and it's a story of self-deprecation. It's a story of bullying, and it takes it to the extreme. It's kind of like Stephen King's Carrie.
Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna have to read that one. Definitely the baboon. I'm gonna read them all, but baboon is first on the list. Now, by this being all your dreams, like, are you like, oh my goodness, people are going to now see what my dreams were, or people are like how my fucking brain works? I mean, is that something that you're afraid of? Because I would hate to
Definitely.
put my dreams on paper.
Definitely. Once family members started getting word of my book, I was like, oh my God, my family is reading this. Like please don't judge me. My coworkers, I'm like, they're gonna judge me so hard.
Now,
But
as
I
a
think
reader,
that's
uh,
go ahead.
no, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead.
I think that's the charm of the book because it it touches on taboos that I think a lot of people have but don't talk about.
Hmm. But what's amazing about it is that you are giving people, like, I feel like some authors and even filmmakers or creators, yeah, they put bits and pieces of themselves in their project, but no, this is 100% you, and like, so you're allowing people to get to see what your imagination looks like.
Yes. And there's actually one story, it's actually the first story. And that was another hard one to put in there because it involves kids. So when you involve kids, it gets touchy. You have
Yeah.
to kind of like walk on, pinpoints and whatnot. But it's a happy ending at the end. But in my dream, it was not a happy ending. So I had to twist that a little bit.
So do you like, so when that story you told me you decided to change the ending, is that something you typically do to make it a little more PC, or do you, when you start writing, you're like, no, I'm going to, this is what I want to put out there, and I necessarily don't care what people think.
Well, I think I made an exception for this story just because it involves black kids, and I was like, I cannot have this
Yeah.
terrible ending for these black children. There's no way. And
Yeah.
I was like, if I can give at least a hint of hope, it would be with black children.
So what are some things that you're doing for marketing wise? Are you going to conventions? Are you going to bookstores and doing sightings and readings?
So a lot of digital marketing, reaching out to blogs for book reviews, influencers, reaching out to YouTube channels such as yours. I do have some speaking engagements planned in bookstores and whatnot. Just a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, because you definitely got to put yourself out there. I mean, it's that's probably one of the scariest things about self-publishing is that you definitely got to put yourself out there because it's that interaction you want to give people, not only let them know about your project, but a little bit about yourself.
Hmm.
All right, so I'm going to ask you three horror questions. Are you ready?
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, before we jump to that, what are you reading right now? Is there a horror book that you're reading right now?
I'm actually not reading a horror book. I recently got 100 Years of Solitude, and I'm going to read that.
Oh, okay. Now, do you prefer the actual physical book or do you do e-reading?
Physical books. I have two large bookcases, and they're filled to the brim.
I'm the same way. You can't see on the camera, but I have a huge bookcase filled with. I'm a physical reader, but I also carry my Kindle as well because,
Hmm.
when I'm traveling, especially for conventions, I can't carry a whole bunch of books around me. That would be ridiculous. But I like the physical book. I like the artwork. I like seeing all of it. But I feel like as
Hmm.
a society, we're going more towards the e-reading, which is kind of sad.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like the physical books, it's more, I feel like it's more of an intimate connection that you have with the book. It's like, growing up with like a flashlight under your pillow
Yes.
or under your blanket, like, oh, staying up all night. We're kind of like missing um that moment. But
Hmm.
I don't knock those who read electronically or those who, have audiobooks, for example. But it's definitely an art form for physical books.
Yes, man. I'm glad that people are just reading because I mean I saw a stat, that was talking about the statistics when it comes to young readers, and not that many people are reading anymore. And
Hmm.
most people get their news and so forth from TV or like quick reads from social media. But like I'm just so glad that more and more young people they're actually out there reading. All right, so let's shoot to the harder questions. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All righty. If any iconic filmmaker came up to you right now and said, JV, I would like to turn your collection of short stories into a anthology film. What director would you want to make that for you?
David Lynch.
Oh, good one. Great one. I mean, besides the obvious reasons, why David Lynch?
Because I recently saw Eraserhead and I was like, this is me.
Yes, love it. David Lynch, by the way, that's the first time. I'm trying to think. That's the first time someone said David Lynch. I've heard a lot of, especially younger authors, say Jordan Peele, of course,
Hmm.
and they say um what's his name? Of course, the great John Carpenter, or even Clive Owens. But
Hmm.
that's a good one, David Lynch. And the second one, who is? All right, this is a good one. Who is your favorite Black woman horror villain?
Black woman or villain? There's not many to choose from. But I would say I liked Ma, Octavia Spencer
And
and
Ma.
Ma. Hmm.
Okay. By the way, look out because I will be doing my top 5 Black women horror villains ranking
All
soon. So
right.
yes, that's gonna be a fun episode. And the final one: which horror villain do you feel like you relate to the most? Outside of killing people, of course, but who do you feel like you relate to the most?
I relate to Hmm. I would say Leatherface because of the way
Hmm.
that um, specifically mental illnesses and disabilities are shown in TV and film. Obviously has, he's nonverbal. He's, kind of led by his family to do their bidding. And he's, a kind of a quiet character when, especially when you get into the sequels, the second film and whatnot. He gets very quiet and he's very childlike. And I
Kids.
think he's very like misunderstood. And of course, showing different disabilities on screen. So I relate to that.
But don't you feel like he has mommy issues? I mean, a lot of these horror movie characters you think about, they have mommy issues. But don't you feel like
Hmm.
some form of mommy issues because he wants to be his mother?
Yeah, he does. I don't have really that side of him. I get along great with my mother. Um, but there is some form of, wanting to impress or wanting to please.
Mhm.
I'm still young and I'm still, very close to my parents, at least my mom. So it's just like, I want to impress, I want to please, and I relate to that.
That's amazing. That's awesome. By the way, I'm so excited that so many more Black women are getting into horror and horror writing and filmmaking because I mean there's been a void when it comes to that and like I mean who knows horror more than Black women? You know what I mean? In this country,
Right.
I mean, who knows it more than them? So I'm just and the Black women who are coming out and doing this stuff is they've been putting out some amazing work, and I'm just glad that the next generation, you know, that because horror has always been something that's been populated majority by white men. And I'm
Hmm.
just glad to see that, more races and genders are getting involved and bringing their spin to horror because it's making, horror a better place and a more interesting genre.
Yes, I say this all the time, but I think that Black authors have not gone far enough with their writing. I think that horror gives us the ability to go far with our writing, to really push the boundaries, to say, being Black already is pushing the boundary. Being Black is
Hmm.
already a taboo. So why not go farther with your writing?
I agree. I agree. And one thing that's great about horror is meant to be offensive. So you don't have to really have to worry about, oh my goodness, I don't want to offend people. That's what people come to read and watch horror. They want to be a little bit offended.
Hmm. And it shows a little bit about our society as well, what we fear most, again, what we consider taboo, the things that we don't want to look at. I'm a spiritual person, so like things like shadow work, for example, if you're familiar with that, showing that shadow side of society.
I agree. And it shows us the bad in us too, because I mean there's real monsters here, but they're not killers and zombies. They're serial killers, unfortunately.
Hmm.
All right. So JV, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Facebook at JV Sattler Author.
Awesome. Everybody, jump on to Amazon and Walmart, Barnes and Noble, anywhere you can find books and look for The Licking. Now, are you doing any special autograph versions?
No, not this moment.
Okay.
Usually at in-person events I'll autograph, but not at
Okay.
this time.
Also, too, you follow her Facebook to see, any signings that she may be doing in public.
Hmm.
JV, it's been an absolute pleasure. I would love to have you back on. I'm definitely going to read your book. I would love to have you back on it so we can talk about it.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem. No problem. Well, everyone, thank you for coming to the horror room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.